Oh, it looks like it's just a mangled bug corpse. That is fantastic. I don't know why I'm so excited about that. How about, does it still work though? Does it still work? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is ScrapMan back with another episode of Dream Car Racing 3D. And today we're looking at something I've been working on for quite a while now. Put quite some time into it, and if you can't tell already, it is an actual walker in Dream Car Racing 3D. Now this is actually merely the proof of concept. This is the first prototype of the walker, and I saved a couple of different stages so I could take you through a little bit of the process of what went into building this, and then we go through to the final product, which is something that I'm actually really proud of. But first, this is what I ended up with when I first decided I want to build a walker. It has 6 legs because that's a little bit more stable when it comes to staying upright and not falling over. And it is manually controlled in the sense that you can lift up one side, you can lift up the other side, you can move them forward and back on in one direction and forward and back in the other direction. So in order to move, you have to go up, forward, down, up, forward, down, up, forward, down. I'm actually kind of confusing myself trying to say it out loud while I do it. But basically, I've mapped it to a WASD. So A and D, so the turning is basically up and down, and then W and S is forward and back. So in order to walk, this is basically the pattern. A, W, A, W, D, S, A, W, D, S. It's all in the timing, and it is manually controlled. And it's kind of difficult to get the hang of it, but once you do, it just becomes like a circular kind of rhythm. So this was just the proof that you could actually make a walker, but I wasn't completely satisfied with this. I wanted it to be a little bit more efficient, so I thought, what about suspension? Because this thing is kind of bouncing all over the place. It's very rigid, especially if I try to go fast. Like, look at all this bouncing. Look at this. So I decided I'm gonna try to put suspension on this thing, and boy, was that hard. So here we have our first iteration that I just showed you. It's 427 frames. Now, putting suspension on it, I thought was gonna be somewhat of a simple matter, but it really took a lot more out of me than I thought it was going to. So this was my first iteration of the suspension. So you can see that I've done like a 4 suspension thing, because doing a single suspension didn't make any sense, because having that single point down here, that means that the foot would just be completely free rotating in all directions on like a ball joint. So there was no stability whatsoever. So I'm like, all right, how do I get it to be stable? So I'm like, well, if I put 4 suspensions, then that'll be stable, right? Because then it won't be free rotating. It won't be like a free rotating ball joint. But this is what it got me. Hey, it looks like it's gonna work, right? See, look, when I lift them up, it actually kind of seems to work. But you can see the feet are still pretty unstable. And walking gives you this. Sorry, I don't know why I have an engine on here and it's making that noise. I think I put the engine on there because my front seat was weighing down the front of it and I wanted something in the back. But as you can see, I was not very satisfied with how this was working. I mean, it has suspension, but it just bends back and forth, and it's just not stable at all. So I'm like, okay, I need to come up with a different idea on how to do this suspension. So I came up with, so this is suspension 2, and this is pretty much the final product of the suspension idea that actually is, to me, it actually works. It gives you suspension, and it doesn't waver as far as stability goes. Now this is way more complicated than I ever thought it was going to be, and it makes use of the new sliders that I told you guys about in a previous episode. So what a slider is basically a point. You can see them right here, those little things jutting out a little bit. What that means is that this part is attached to this rod, but it's free to slide up and down it. So this is actually like a 3-layered slider. This little ring, the silver ring that's going over the suspension, that's a slider that's attached to this yellowish thing. And then this leg is attached to the yellowish thing, which is also on sliders. So there's kind of like a 3-layer thing. So you can see when I flex the leg that the foot actually gets cushioned into the leg via these sliders. So the foot is sliding up the suspension and the leg is sliding down the foot. I needed to combine suspension and rigidity at the same time, and this is the idea I came up with. However, it looks like it works fine for the most part, but there was something that I wasn't satisfied with. If you watch carefully, here, I'm gonna put the middle foot, I'm gonna get my controls here. So I'm gonna put the middle foot down, then I'm gonna go forward. You see how, look at it get all twisted. You see how the bar gets all twisted? Yep, so let me show you for an example. See, as soon as I lifted it up, it twists back in place. Now I'm gonna bring it back forward and put it down, bring it back up, and then you can see it get all twisted as soon as it goes back. This motion here, back and forth, you can see it actually rotates the feet off their axis. So I wasn't satisfied with that, because clearly this is not the most stable form that this could be in, because the legs are just rotating and it's causing a lot of tension on the suspension pieces. So I figured I need to rework this so that the legs stay on the same plane rather than rotating like this. So in order to change that, I had to change how this little section works here. You can see it pivots on this angle right here, which is kind of like rotating around a circle, which is why the feet rotate. So what I had to do was go from this to this. So now as you see, rather than the legs actually rotating on a center point, I actually have it in a square that gets kind of pushed into a rhombus type fashion. And this is inspired by the wishbone suspension, because in wishbone suspension, as the suspension gets moved up and down, the wheel maintains the same plane, the same axis. It doesn't get rotated on its axis. So as you can see, as this goes back and forth, this little part right here stays parallel to the body. So that keeps the feet in the same orientation the entire time. So now you can see as I lift one leg up, put it forward, place it down. Whoops, did it the wrong way again. Put it forward, place it down, bring it back, lift it up, put it forward, place it down, bring it back. You can see it no longer rotates and gets distorted. But I did have a little bit of an issue, and you can see this stuff got a little bit messed up when I ended up dragging stuff around here, and there was a little bit of an issue with the grid lines for some reason. So I had to redo this and rework it a little bit because I still wasn't completely satisfied. And the reason why I wasn't completely satisfied with this is there's no way for me to turn this. This is the only way for me to go, is just either forward like this, or if I rotate in the opposite direction on my controls, then I can go backward. And for a walker, if you're gonna have something that you can control, even if it's as complex as this, I just really wanted it to be really functional and even be able to turn. So that is when I came up with this. Now I know what you're thinking, you're saying it probably looks exactly the same, and that's because it pretty much is exactly the same. I changed the control scheme though. You see, I have two buttons that are responsible for moving this side forward and backwards, and then I have two different buttons that are moving this side forward and backwards. So if I press them together, so this is A and Q, and this is S and W. So if I press AS and QW, that's like the same as pressing the one button at a time that I was doing before. And then I had to work around the keyboard bindings a little bit, because only certain keys you're allowed to bind, because the other ones have other functions. So I have space, I have space to lift up, and V to lift up the other side. So now if I do space AS, let go of space V, let go of AS, then press QW, it's a lot harder to explain it verbally than if you were able to see it. So what this allows me to do is now I can actually reverse how I am pressing the buttons, which can make me do one side backwards and one side forwards, like this. Yes, so now check it out. I'm actually turning. It actually turns. So this is the control I was looking for, where I can actually make it, in theory, go anywhere I want it to go by lining it up by turning. Now I have independent control over how each side works. Oh, now I'm going backwards. And if I want to go back forward, I can go forward. And check out the suspension working in there. All right. So, this was a good start, or almost a good finish. I got the suspension working. I've got the feet that are staying parallel with the ground rather than twisting. And I've now got full control over not only forward and backwards, but also steering. So I thought, I gotta make it look good now. So then it was my job to build a body on this to actually make it look like something. And of course, when I looked up six-legged things, one of the more obvious ones was the ant. So here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final product, and if you can't tell, the frame rate has dropped quite a little bit, and that is because this ant has gone from the original 400 and whatever frames that I showed you with that first creation to a whopping 1,262 frames. I think this might be one of the biggest or most dense creations I've created as far as frames go. I gotta admit, when I first started this project of creating a walker, I wasn't sure how possible it was going to be, but as you can see, it's actually worked and it's something I'm really proud of. Let's go ahead and turn ourselves here. Look, we're turning. The turning is totally working. All right, now let's go forward again. Oh man. It is so confusing sometimes to get your buttons right, but I've been playing with it for a little while now, so I'm definitely much more used to it. But yeah, and even, oh, there's one little surprise. There's one little surprise. You ready for this? Ready for this? Boop. That's right. It's got headlights. And now we are walking backwards. So, there's only one thing left to do, then I've explained the whole process of how I got to this final product here. I don't think we can do crash testing with this thing because we can't really bomb down a hill or drag race down a straightaway into a wall. So I guess we're gonna have to do something a little bit different. So my initial plan was actually just trying to walk off the mountain here. So we're gonna spawn like right here. That's not what I wanted to happen. I've spawned and I've got like 5 frames and I've spawned inside the ground. This is, I feel like I'm in an ant trap. This is not what it was supposed to be. I'm gonna try to spawn again, see if it works. How about on this side over here? Okay, oh no, I missed the ramp. We're falling down. We're falling down, an ant falling down the mountain. Okay, this is not gonna turn out very well. I have no control. What if I try to walk? Come on, walk, ant. Oh boy, I'm in first person. Why did I go in the first person? That was a bad idea. Oh no. Oh, there we go, and there goes the ant falling down the cliff. You know what, ants are pretty resilient. They can usually fall off of pretty much anything and survive without too much damage, but this thing actually looks like a dead ant. Wow. What do you know? This is even more realistic than I intended. Look at the antenna is just bleh. It's just a broken antenna, broken body. How do the frames do? Oh, look at that. This was the highlight for me right here. Look, the fact that this actually dies like a bug. Oh, it looks like it's just a mangled bug corpse. That is fantastic. I don't know why I'm so excited about that. How about, does it still work though? Does it still work? Oh, look at that. It's totally a dead bug. This is totally a dead bug. This is great. Oh, yes. Look at it. Look at it. Try to get back up. Oh man, this is funny. Okay, but this isn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to, my final plan was to try to walk off the edge of this thing. Let's see if it'll actually spawn us up here. What? No. This isn't where I wanted to spawn. I wanted to be up there. Let me spawn up there. Okay. For some reason, it's not letting me spawn on top of this runway. It keeps spawning me down underneath it. Like the, uh-oh. Alright, well, there it goes. There it goes. Bye, little buddy. It was nice knowing you. Thanks for going on all those walks with me. Your company was very much appreciated. I hope you enjoy your trip. We'll see you next time, right? buddy? Are you okay? Are you waving at me? Hi. Alright, well, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. I definitely put a lot of work into this. Let me know what your favorite part about this build was. I think my favorite part, what I'm most proud of, is actually getting this suspension to work. I couldn't believe that it actually ended up working. I was really going to abandon suspension there for a little while and just go with the rigid, non-suspension kind of build. Well, leave some comments, let me know what you think I should try to build next. I got some requests for walkers before, you know, and I built some really weird things like a house before, like a house car, so I'm open to just kind of like random suggestions that might inspire something really unique and cool. So make sure you leave those down in the comments below. This has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time.